there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Turgon the Wise bringing a new video to you today. Thanks so much for joining me. This is my first video for Season 21 playing Lord of the Rings Rise to War. You can see this is a blank map. There is nothing going on here yet because it's early and we are playing, drumroll, Tactics Evolved, baby. Some of you may be wondering, Turgon, what happened to the mega server? Is this the mega server? This is not the mega server. Um, we had some teams that signed up for the mega server, and it wasn't quite enough to make a good server. We needed more participation, and I talked to, I think, 40 teams in all when it's all said and done, and everyone wanted to go and do something else for whatever reason. And I appreciate everyone's consideration very much. So hopefully we can revisit this in the future after this season, perhaps next season, and see if we can get something together. But I'm glad that things worked out the way they did because this season, I think, is going to be awesome. And I'm really excited to bring you coverage of this season. Who, you might ask, is a part of this season? Well, here is our current affluence leaderboard, and you can see we have Bear, Lame, Skull, YuDz, Unbroken, Hive Mind, Whim, Moab, LKOA, and Dora rounding out your top 10. And all of these teams have 760,000 affluence to 1.5 million affluence, which is a pretty, it's a good range. All in all, there's some compression here. When you've got a spread of 10 teams, and 1.5 million is your top of the range, and the bottom of the top 10 is half of that. I think that's a pretty good spread. The top 8 teams are all around a million. LKOA is knocking on the door. These two teams are going to reach a million soon. It's just a matter of time. So I think that this makes a spicy server. You see 9 teams here. Really, it's 10. However, in case you haven't noticed, YuDz is in the Iron Hills, and Dora is in the Iron Hills. So there's been a little bit of conflict in our starting spawn, and that was one of the things that made it attractive for us. One of the things that we've found since this new system was implemented by the developers, where everything is gated. You get 5 days to farm your spawn, and then the pass is open, and then you can fight within your sector for another 5 days, and then at day 10, the spawn, the passes between all the spawns open up. The big donut on the outside opens up. Here, I'll show you what I mean on the map. So we're starting here, and there's fighting within the region, right? The first 5 days of the season, we can't get out of here. We're trapped. Is there anybody who likes this? I don't know, but and then day 5, the passes open up, and we can come in here, and they can come in here, and if there was someone here, I think there's one team in the east, but they're not very big. Ewok, I want to say. And we can all come and fight in here, and we can come down into there, or they can come in here or in here. Like, everything happens within. I call this a sector of the map. If you've been watching my videos, you've been hearing me use this term quadrant or sector, and there's 3 of them. And the one that we're in here is the eastern one. You can say north, but I don't like north because half of the north is the west, and that's divided here by the Misty Mountains, right? If you're following my cursor. So I like to call this the eastern quadrant, the western quadrant, and the southern quadrant. Or sector. Let's go with sector. I like the word sector. It makes it sound like something out of Star Trek. So day 5 will come, and we'll be fighting in this sector. Now, we spawned on top of Dora, which is a team that's also known by the names Lord or Submit. And uh, there has been some fighting here, and there probably will be more starting tomorrow when all of the base's protection fades. And we'll see how that goes. That should be fun. And then the 5-day passes will open, and we'll come into Central Mirkwood, and Bear will come down to Central Mirkwood because Bear is in Arid Mithrin here. And those are the teams in this sector. And I think that the fighting in this sector is going to be intense, maybe all season. It's going to be very interesting to see how well YuDz and Bear stacks up. Now, for anyone who isn't familiar with the inner intricacies of YuDz, we're quite a different team this season from last season. Every season, a team experiences turnover, and we're no exception. So it'll be interesting to see how this version of YuDz stacks up with this version of Bear. Bear is a team we've never faced, and this is something that we really like to do, is to fight different teams. I think we have basically fought every single elite team in NRP now, other than Bear. Are there any other elite NRP teams we haven't faced yet? I'm not so sure. Comment below, because I'll start from the very beginning right now, real quick, just 30 seconds. Our first season, we fought teams that no longer exist, and it's irrelevant. Our second season, as YuDz, after the merger between Yadu and Nudes, we fought Meta and Chaos, who later became Aces, and we fought Lame and Pran, and Pran, I believe, now goes by 1T. And also on that server was Gods, Ilil, and Order. Okay. And then the next season after that, we fought Ilil and Toby and Bank. Now, Bank doesn't really exist anymore, or most of them have merged within Toby. Um, Ilil does what Ilil does. We've faced them several other times since then. But the next season after our second season, our third season, was against Toby and Bank. And we fought also Gods and Ilil. And then the next season was the 10v2 season where we faced HISP, and a team called, in the beginning of the season was called Free, and then later in the season, I think they were renamed something else. You can watch my video on that if you want. We faced two other mid-level teams, Bull, and I can't remember the other one now. Oh my God, it's been a year. I'm so sorry, I don't remember. And then there was Ilil and Order, and then there was other teams. You go check out that video. Just scroll into my channel and scroll down, and you can find the recap to understand who all the teams were on that server. So every season we have faced an elite team of some kind. The next season after that may be the only exception, where we faced 1T and VSOP, and RUSC was on that server. And that's a server, you can check out that video too. I think it's season 18, I want to say it was. It was either 17 or 18. And it was a very dull season because they basically fought us only for a few hours, and then um, didn't do anything the rest of the season. So we didn't have anything to do other than basically PvE the whole season because no one would fight us, and that was not cool. And then the season after that, we faced Aces and Order with Lame as our partner, and the season after that was the season where we got zeroed. Ilil, Noad, Fire, Neon, Desal, and Heon were all on that server. Desal and Heon merged after that season to form Burn, and they're now partners with Fire. And the season after that was our last season, which was against DK. And again, we only fought them for about, I don't know, 8, 12, maybe 15 hours. And then that was it. They did basically refuse to fight us, or a lot of their people gave up. So that is what it is, and that's kind of the history of YuDz in a nutshell. High level. How long did that take? 3 minutes? I said 30 seconds, and I took 3 minutes, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so I'm excited now to face to get a little bit of an idea of what it's like to face Bear. I've heard so many amazing things about this team going all the way back to our roleplay days, because both Bear and Nudes and Yadu, which is now YuDz, were all roleplay teams before 2.0. And at some point, either right after 2.0 dropped or within a couple seasons after 2.0 dropping, we all came to NRP. And we haven't faced them before. And so I think it's going to be really cool to check that out. Now, down in the southern quadrant, you've got Lame that spawned in the White Mountains, Skull in Land of Five Streams, and Hive Mind in Darklands. That should be an interesting matchup. I think Lame, I'm going to be honest, and I apologize if anybody takes this the wrong way or thinks that I'm wrong, because I'm certainly allowed to be wrong, right? But I'm also allowed to have an opinion. And my opinion is right now that Lame is like the hottest team in the game. I think that they're an amazing team that does a really, really nice job. They've got a really cool culture. Their leadership does a really amazing job. They're obviously very strong. They're very coordinated and smart. So I'm very excited to watch how this matchup, this 2v1 in the South, unfolds, because I think it's going to be a good matchup. And that's the thing that I think kind of makes this server potentially a mega server, is that you can have fighting within each sector that goes beyond when the 10-day pass is open. When the 10-day pass is open, no one might do anything. And by that, I mean Bear might not go west. We might not go south. South might not go east. And they might not go west. And west might not go south or east. Because in the west, we've got WIM and LKOA, Last Knights of Angmar, and Forward Waith. And then we've got Moab over in Blue Mountains and Unbroken in Enid Waith. So these two are partners. So there can be a 2v2 out here, a 2v1 out here, and basically a 1v1 up here. 2v1-ish. Depends on how many players from Submit are continue to be active throughout the course of the season. Effectively, it's a 2v1, but by us spawning on top of them in Iron Hills, we've really squeezed a lot of the life out of them by taking all the resources. That slows development, and they haven't really fought us a whole lot so far from what I've seen. And we can take a look at the merit board just to see what that looks like. Yeah, you can see, Bear, Whim. There's a little bit from YuDz up here. Random person who doesn't have a team down in Gondor. That's interesting. Skull, YuDz. So there is some YuDz on here. Dora, Ecthelion. Early in the season, you don't see a lot of merit. As you can see, I'm 56 on the server with 11 merit. I killed like 10 dudes. So, I'm looking forward to watching uh, the merit board unfold. So that's really what, coming back to the map here. What I'm excited about this server is that there can be good fighting out in the west, down in the south, and out in the east. And it'll be interesting to see how those fights, how they unfold. And it'll be interesting to see how the politics, the interpersonal relationships, the diplomacy between these teams, how all that unfolds. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when the 10-day pass is open, if anybody, decides to go in another direction, or if everyone continues fighting where they're fighting. And that makes it an exciting server. And honestly, this is the kind of server that I was trying to build with the mega server, but I just didn't have enough teams to make it work. So I hope in the future, when people are talking to me about a mega server, now you can understand what the goal is. This is the goal. And the only difference is the name of the teams that are involved. If we could do this like every season, where we have fights within each sector that are fairly, at least on paper, seemingly even balanced fights, that I think lends towards a more interesting early and mid game of the season, because I think a lot of times, just looking, at the experience that I've had, not only with YuDz, but also observing a lot of other servers through alts and other means, and talking with other people about their seasons and such. Um, a lot of times, what tends to happen, there's kind of like there's a bell curve. There's a variety of scenarios that play out, but the ones that I see happening frequently are the most frequent two I see are this. Scenario A, one team dominates and snowballs and wrecks the server, and basically by the time Dulguldur is over, half the server has quit because they know they're not going to beat that team, and the rest of the season is just boring. And that happens, and sometimes it happens organically, and sometimes it happens as a result of um, miscalculations, and sometimes it happens through diplomacy. And is another situation where this kind of occurs, but there's more teams than just one team involved, where like there's a coalition that is formed between three, four, five, maybe even six teams to fight one or two other teams, dominate them, and then after those teams have basically given up because there's nothing to do once you have, you have no lands, you have no tiles, you have no resources, you have no troops, you can't fight. And then the rest of that server is boring because there's an effectually, for lack of a better term, a gangbang. So you've got the snowball scenario with one team moving forward. That's kind of, you can kind of look at the DK season that we had last season as that, where YuDz was a team that was you know stronger than the other teams on the server, and we snowballed and we crushed our opponent, and that was the end of the server. And we could have done things differently, but uh, that video is, you can read that, watch that video to understand all the circumstances there. I don't want to rehash all that here, but that was a unique server for us because of the way that the politics and the diplomacy played out across all the teams on that server. And I'm grateful for that experience because it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about, we got to learn what it was like to fight DK. We got to meet, new friends in Skull and King and Banished. And those are all some really, some good teams that are up and coming that are nice to see. And one of the things, between the King and Banished, and then also from all the work that I did talking with different teams to invite them to the mega server, is that I've realized that there is a growing aspect of the community in these mid-level teams. And that community, while that is growing, the elite teams like your Bears, your YuDz, your Lames, our teams, our section of the community seemingly is shrinking. And it's interesting to see this dynamic, um, this oppositional dynamic playing out in real time. It's an interesting dichotomy. At any rate, coming back to the server here, I just want to show some of the other leaderboards. Let's go to the first occupation board because I think this is really cool stuff, is looking at how fast people took tiles. The first level 8 resource tile was taken 31 minutes into the season. You can see I was a slacker. I did it 3 hours and 34 minutes into the season, which is good for 218th on the server. The best player on YuDz was Robin. In this regard, he was third on the server. He took a level 8 at 36 minutes into the season, and Skull was only 2 seconds behind him, which is that's pretty close. Let's go to the level 9s. Robin on top at 42 minutes. He took a level 9. This gentleman, his name's Pirikong, and he is fantastic. I love this dude. He and SPC Moon are some of my favorite peoples. So it's cool to see you up on the top at number 2, representing YuDz. And you got Lane with Count Vladislav Dracula, which is a hilarious name. I love the names. You guys come up with some really great themes each season. Charlie Sheen, I remember Charlie Sheen and Hivemind. I've faced Hivemind a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, back before 2.0, during the 1.0 days, the last season of War of the Ring that I played with Yadu. Hivemind was there, and I remember Charlie Sheen from that server. Good to see you, bud. Welcome back. And then you've got Skull and Dora. So the thing I love about this list is that you don't just see YuDz and Lame dominating it. There's more than YuDz and Lame. There's a Broken, Skull Moab, more Lame and YuDz, Bear, and this is level 9s. These are, the ones that are kind of a little bit easier. You can take level 8s and level 9s with 3 commanders in your army, but you really need that 4th commander to start taking 10s. And you can do that now by rushing barracks level 11, and the first person on the server to get a level 10 was Count Vladislas Dracula from Lame, and Robin was about a bit less than 10 minutes behind. And then Pumpkin Price here, that is, you're clever, clever, clever. An hour and 30 minutes, I mean, less than an hour and a half into the server, these folks are taking level 10 tiles. You can see I was slacking off. I didn't get my first level 10 until 5 hours into the server. There was a time in this game where just getting a level 200 tile, a level 10 tile, if you got one on the first day, that was insane. And now we're doing it in less than an hour and a half. It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. Level 11 is the last one we can look at here, and Robin is on the top of that board at 2 hours and 39 minutes. I came in 26th here. I got my first one 8 hours and 28 minutes into the season. Armon Reaper, Pumpkin Price, Immortal Terror Sam, Legoloff. So you can see this board is a little bit more dominated by YuDz and Lame. We have Bear coming in 7th, Whim at 10, The Beast, Isaac GH, Skull KS. The KS crew is now, a lot of the KS crew is with Skull. Some of them I've seen in Bear, and I think I even seen somebody in Hive Mind with a KS in the name. I could be wrong. Could be going crazy. I'm Broken, Sakura, Glorfindel on Bear, Edgar Allan Toe. Oh man, Donnie Dark Toe. Oh my God, guys, you're gonna make me cry laughing. I love you guys. So at any rate, this is kind of what the list looks like. The Scotsman, I love Scotsman from Samurai Jack. That was a popular cartoon on Cartoon Network back in the day. I wonder if they still make that or not. Anyway, Ryan S, good dude, and some ducks. Quack quack. Oogie boogie. Very interesting. So that is your list. You see the personal affluence. You see the first occupation. You see I am 246th in farm, which is kind of embarrassing, but there really isn't anything to farm. And I mean, I'm tile maxed, so what do you want me to do? There's no tiles for me to get to improve. And I am full of tiles anyway. So I'm doing all right. I'm pretty happy with my start, and I think this is going to be a very, very exciting server, and I'm looking forward to it. So here's one last look at the map. I want to thank you all for listening to me jibber jabber on for the last however long this has been, 15, 20, 30 minutes. And wishing everyone on this server the best of luck. I hope everyone is as excited for this server as I am. And we'll see what happens. And I'm excited to continue bringing you coverage of how things go here. Also be looking, I don't know yet for sure, but at some point I would hope that my good friend and compatriot fellow of the rings will also be streaming live some of this server once the fights start breaking out. If you want to check out some of the stuff happening in real time, I suggest you go and check out his channel. Make sure you give him some likes and subscribes. Give me a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate your time very much watching my videos, and we'll talk to you soon. Turgon the Wise, signing off. Cheers.